Good morning, my friends. It's Krebs here, and today we're going to be playing a little bit of World of Tanks, and we're going to be continuing on the series of taking a look at individual tanks, namely looking at their history, their offensive and defensive capabilities, comparing to an alike tank, and also getting some gameplay sessions in that show off the tank in a good light. So everything you want in an episode all crammed in the next, 15 or so minutes. So anyway, guys, what do I have on offer for you today? Well, I should be doing a Tier 5 Chinese tank because we left off at the Tier 4 M5A1 Stuart, but the thing is, at Tier 5, it gets a bit harder to actually acquire tanks. It's about 16,000 XP to get the Type 34, which I suppose I could do in a good session of World of Tanks, but to be honest, it still takes quite a bit of time, and so what I'm going to be doing is jumping around the place, trying out different tanks and getting up to around Tier 4 and, so on and so forth. So today, the tank that we're going to be looking at is the French Tier 1, the Renault FT. If we go on over to the tech tree, what you'll be able to see is that the Renault FT sits comfortably at Tier 1 and branches off into 4 different tanks, such as tank destroyers. You've got other light tanks, which lead on to medium and heavies. And then you've also got the SPGs, the artillery pieces. Notice how the tank is called FT-17 here, and then over in the actual garage, it's called the Renault FT. I'll get onto that in a second. So how are we going to start off this episode? Where we're going to be talking about some history with the tank. So the Renault FT was produced by Louis Renault. If you know your cars, that is the same maker as the Renault brand. A lot of car makers back in the day, they loved making tanks. I guess so. It's just a common thing. You go where the money is. Produce tanks for the government, why not? It was produced back in 1917, and it was a very revolutionary tank for the time because a lot of tanks were effectively armored boxes. I would show you pictures of these tanks, but to be honest, you could easily just Google some of these armored boxes, and you probably see them already. It was revolutionary for its time because it introduced a light tank that had a fully rotatable turret. No tank at the time had a fully rotatable turret. That means 360 degrees. It was the first one that actually had something like that, and it worked on a ball bearing basis. It also introduced the engine at the back of the tank with the driver at the front. Interesting sort of stuff. Seems like something that would be second nature to do nowadays, but hey ho, there you go. They put it at the back of the tank. So, apart from that, the Renault FT was used extensively in World War I. Eventually, after World War I, it was sold off to a variety of countries, such as the USA. The USA licensed this tank from France, and they came up with their own version, which was very, very similar to it. In fact, the Americans called it the 6-ton tank, the M1917. Wow. Talk about just naming it like as if it was something written on the tin of the can. The 6-ton tank. Wow. That's America for you. America, fuck yeah. And it was also sold off to a variety of other countries. If you watch my previous episodes, we were talking about the Renault NC31, so it was eventually sold off to the Chinese. I'm not going to get into details of that. And apart from that, other countries, Poland, Iran, it was even used on up until basically 1948, the Arab-Israeli War. They used a World War I era tank. And that was the most modern engagement to actually use such a outdated tank. But, by the time World War II came around, it was outdated. There's a few engagements where the Polish army stopped the Germans in Brzec, where they used the Renault FT tanks to literally block passageways of tunnels, preventing the Germans from passing through. There's some examples of that. But yeah, that's what the tank is all about. And I was also saying about the FT and the FT-17. The FT part is actually just an alphabetical designation for the tank. A lot of times it'll be mistaken for the 17. Sometimes people think, oh, it's produced in the year 1917, and so we'll call it the FT-17. This nomenclature actually came about after World War I, after the initial production of the tank. So originally it was called the FT. The FT doesn't actually stand for anything. Some people have been calling it different things, such as the faible tonnage, which in French stands for low tonnage. And there's also another one. God, what is it? Like Fabulosoir de Tranchier or something like that. It's the trench crosser. Doesn't mean that at all. All it is just an alphabetical designation for the tank. That was the next available one, and so it was called the FT. Alright guys, so that's a bit of history about the tank. Now, I was sort of thinking to myself, how am I going to compare this tank offensively and defensively to other tanks? I mean, we've already done the Renault NC31, and that would be a bit of a repetition, but there is another tank that is very similar to this. No, the Americans don't have the 6-ton tank in the game, but if you go on over to the USSR, they have something called the MS-1. And if you look at the MS-1, it looks kind of damn similar, doesn't it? Well, that's because the MS-1 is based off of the Renault FT. There's a lot of similarities. So I was thinking, yeah, that's going to be the most appropriate example to go for. Why don't we compare the Renault FT to the MS-1? So what I'm going to be doing is throwing and spewing, regurgitating, blah, stats back at you guys. The offensive and defensive capabilities, comparing both tanks to each other. And what I'm also going to do is post the actual stats in front of your screen so you can actually see it visually and hear it audioly. Is that how you would say it? Audioly as well, through my voice. Alright, so the stats that we're going to be using for both tanks are going to be based off of the top equipment modules that you can equip on all the tanks, okay? Right, so the Renault FT has an advantage over the MS-1 by an extra 15 HP, taking the Renault FT up to a total of 115 hit points. It has a signal range of 300 meters, beating the MS-1 by 35 meters. That is quick maths in my head. Right on the spot, aren't I? Speed limit is lower than the MS-1 at a measly 21 kilometers per hour. It's going to be a little bit sluggish. The MS-1 has 32 kilometers per hour. Mind you, this is a speed limit. How much their maximum speed is doesn't mean they're going to be going at that all the time. The MS-1 is heavier at 5.44 tons, whereas the FT is 4.8. The crew for both tanks operate on a 2 crew member basis. So you've got the commander, which doubles up as the gunner, the radio operator, the loader. I'm surprised it's not a woman. I'm surprised a man can multitask doing that many things. There's also a driver, and that's with both tanks, alright? In terms of actually hull armor, all the way around the FT, it's 16 millimeters. You guys are going to be seeing this quite soon when I talk about the defensive capabilities of the tank, but 16 millimeters all the way around, including the front, side, rear. The turret armor is 22 millimeters on the front and sides, whereas the rear, as you can see, this is the emergency hatch. This is how they can enter and exit during emergencies. Is only 16 millimeters. So if you can try to penetrate that on the back, if you're aiming for the turret, that's what you can see, then why not go for that? MS-1, pretty much the exact same, apart from the front having an extra 2 millimeters. You guys are going to be able to see this on your front of your screen. No point of Krebsy talking about it. But apart from that, the FT has a more heavier armored turret. In terms of mobility, the engine power of the FT has 100 horsepower, beating the MS-1 by 30 horsepower. Overall, though, even though it has better horsepower to weight ratio, it has a slower traverse speed. How the hell does this stuff work? I'm guessing it comes down to suspensions, or maybe. But it has a lower traverse speed at 30 degrees per second. Fire chance is 20% and also runs on gasoline, both tanks. In terms of the turret, you can see that the view range is equal for both of them, 280 meters. Turret traverse is slightly, tiny bit slower by 1 degree per second at 34 degrees per second. Traversing arc is, of course, 360 degrees because we were saying first tank to actually have a fully rotatable turret. Now, when it comes to damage, we're going to be talking about the AP rounds here, so I'm not going to bother with gold ammo because gold ammo can penetrate no matter what. Well, it doesn't really, not all the time. But anyway, that's a whole different topic. We're going to be talking about the armor-piercing rounds here. So, in terms of damage, the FT does 27 health points per shell, whereas the MS-1 does 12 health points. Penetration for the FT is greater at 46 millimeters, whereas the MS-1 has 30 millimeters. Who cares about shell price? Damage minimum per minute is greater for the MS1 at 1136 HP per minute opposed to 771 for the FT. And that's just down to the rate of fire. The MS1 has a far better rate of fire, 94.74 rounds per minute. That's a lot. Reload time, obviously a lot less as well because of the rate of fire, but the accuracy on the FT is better than the MS1. Aim time is also better, okay? So it really comes down to different playstyles. You're going to be using these turrets in different manners. Apart from that, there's also some camouflage values. Throw that in front of the screen so you can take a look at it. But that is generally the offensive and defensive stats of the tanks. So what I'm going to do now is throw some actual diagrams, some actual pictures in front of your screen to show you what the armor values are like for these tanks. As you can see, well, not the MS1 anyway, for the FT, as you can see, I'm sorry guys, there's really no weak points on this tank at all. I mean 16 millimeters on the sides and the front and whatever, any tank at this tier is going to be able to penetrate an FT, okay? So you don't really have to worry that it's 60 millimeters all the way around. It looks so thick. You're going to be able to penetrate it anyway. Only thing you have to be a bit wary of is sloped armor, as you can see these angles. But yeah, 60 millimeters all the way around. If you really want to guarantee some penetrations, always go for the cupola. Look at that big top hat on top of the tank. A cupola is not affected by deflection angles at all. Essentially, it's like hitting a flat plate. You'll always penetrate the cupola, so try to go for that if you possibly can. But apart from that, that is the Renault FT for you guys. I think what we're going to do now is jump on into some matches. Alright, so the first match that we've got today is on a Himmelsdorf. I'm going to be in my FT17, obviously. And this match I'm actually going to get, I'm going to spoil it right now. If you don't want to get anything spoiled, then cover your ears. Here we go. I get the second class mastery badge. Nothing that impressive, but considering that it was actually my first game that I went out on this FT17, got the second class mastery, and I think you have to get, what, better XP than 80% of people that week? I think it's 80%. And then in the next game, I'm going to be getting the first class mastery badge, and a whole lot quicker than this one. The only reason I'm showing you guys this one is because I thought it was a little bit funny. I thought it was quite an entertaining game. You guys are going to see what happens here. So anyway, heading down straight along the center line of Himmelsdorf near enough. Not exactly right down the middle in the open road, but taking some cover along some of the rubble over here. Thought I could maybe peep out the small tiny window along the side, but unfortunately not able to do that. And exposing an enemy tank over here, gonna get some easy shots on him, no problem. Look at that. Notice that I don't have any mods on at the moment because there's a new patch a few days ago. Still haven't updated my mods, but oh well. Deal with it, why not? And now I'm just gonna be waiting. Is there anyone else gonna be coming across that area? Am I gonna be trying this window again? Yeah, I'm really tempted for it, aren't I? Maybe I can get like an angle on one of those hiding tanks over there. But nonetheless, you got some other defending enemy tanks, some behind rubble of their own on their side. I'm just waiting for like an opportunity for somebody to come out. And there we go. That is the opportunity I'm looking for. A little pesky tank coming out from the side. What is that? Is that another Renault FT? I think it might be. I don't think that was an MS1. I think it looked more like an FT to me. And so we've got some of my teammates in the middle of the map, because why not? There's not that many people look like they're in the center side, but also look at the minimap. Look at the minimap. There's not that many guys in the center apart from our team. But if you look at the minimap, along this street that I'm pointing at right now, they'll have easy access to killing anyone coming down in the middle. Anyway, killing off that lol tractor, the leichte tractor, no problem. He came speeding around that corner. Just finished him off. I mean, you know, happy days for me. But now I'm just waiting. Is there going to be anyone else coming around that side? I'm not going to keep around. I'm not going to be too stagnant, because one way to actually lose is not only your enemy team being aggressive against you, but also another great way of losing is when you're not aggressive enough. Sometimes just by waiting around in places, you're not getting your armament out there, you're not using it, right? So coming around the buildings, seeing if I can spot any other enemies along this alleyway, this one road. And turns out that that enemy, the second one that was right behind the lol tractor, actually pulled away a little bit. Oh, I can see another lol tractor. Oh, just for a moment there. Way too inaccurate to actually do anything. So nobody's along the street anymore. It's 7-7. Teams are equal at the moment. And apparently we're capping their base. Can't see it with the actual... Oh, there we go. Now you can see it. Now you can see it with the radio range. You couldn't before. Now we can spot it. And it looks like the enemy team... yeah, they're going to be coming to the enemy base. They're going to be finishing it off. Finishing off our tank. I don't know, man. I can understand the whole reason behind it. It's a good diversion. Being that aggressive just means the enemy team has to focus on you. But at the same time, look at what it's cost him. He's gonna be losing his life pretty soon here. He's getting swarmed. Oh, here we go. Another lol tractor. Come on, finish it off, Krebs! So close. You can do it. Ah, missing. And somebody's shooting me from the side. I can't just stay still and try to get accurate. Come on! Come on! No, he's going around the corner. One last shot. Oh, got it. The maximum inaccuracy. Managed to get him just when I needed a shot to count. And the reason I'm not heading down towards the their base is because if you look at the score, there's only 3 of us left, as opposed to their 6. I think they're sort of anticipating me coming down along that line, and one tank was shooting me from the side and the rear. You guys saw that, right? So I was afraid that maybe he's going to come up behind me. So instead I'm taking a detour, going to be going around the side and hoping that the enemy team, maybe I can catch them when they're trying to come down along the way that they predict me to come. At least that's what I hope. Okay. So as you can see, just coming down along this area. Just worried if maybe they'll be chasing behind me. And so that's why I'm taking this earlier road rather than the intersection a little bit farther down. Ah, we can destroy a car. Why not? Look at that. We're almost near enough to the same size as the car and we can crush it fully. Is there going to be anyone here? No. Nobody here. Where could they be? I think I've got to get aggressive now. It would be a bad... It'd be a bad move for me to try and capture the enemy base. Because they'd all come swarming on me. Look at that. One of their teammates. One of the enemy team. Have 6 kills. I mean it's tier 1 game. Who cares? 6 kills, anyone can get it. But he's probably my main contender. He seems like he's competent. Now I'm just trying to spot enemy tanks. I can see him. But it's just like, oh, there we go. Hello. Peeping out briefly behind our tank's cover. Or the carcass of our tank, rather. Taking him down a little bit of damage. Just trying to figure out, come on, maybe I can get another shot. Oh! Bad driving. Bad driving. Uh-oh. MS1 coming here. It's 2-on-1 right now. Oh dear. Gotta back off completely. I'm surprised I haven't gotten damaged. Oh, I'm speaking too fast. There we go. MS1. At least I've got cover from the, what is it? T1 Cunningham, I think. And now I just got this MS1. Ah, poking out a bit too far. Getting shot from the side from that T1. There we go, another shot. But he's got an autocannon. It's not going to be doing any damage to me. No damage at all. Almost got him! One more shot! No! He drives away. All I've got to take on is this MS1. I need another shot! Ah! Don't have it. So anyway, guys, here is the results of that match. Mind you, it's a loss. Okay, so time for the second match. So this one's gonna be on mines, and I was saying in the first match, this is gonna be how I got the first class mastery. Now, I didn't actually think this game was as impressive as the last one. The last one I was sort of playing a cat and mouse game, but this one, I really don't feel like I do anything special at all. And it's sort of strange. How the hell did I get first class mastery on this match specifically? I have no idea. Just that is what happens, okay? Right, so heading down the center line, gonna be going on top of the hill. I almost always do this when I'm playing on this map. Just depends really in what tier I am. If I'm on a low tier, I'll go up the middle into the hill, on top of the hill. If it's a higher tier match, well, that's a whole different story. Heavy goes on different sides, mediums probably to the hill, lights, whatever. Tank destroyers usually along the left-hand side. Just really depends. But in low tier games like this one, I just go on top of the hill because it's usually a great vantage point when you just want to shoot puppies. Alright, so we already got 3 teammates along the top side. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is going to be an easy game. We're going to get loads of kills here. And then as I start making my way up, crawling my way along, I'm just looking at my teammates up there. What? You got massacred? You're taking so much damage. What's wrong with you? Ammo racked as well. Perfect. Perfect start indeed. So already losing 2 teammates along the hillside. I guess it works both ways. Sure, you can get a good vantage point and see everyone. At the same time, everyone can see you. Okay, so it's me and my teammate on up here. I'm trying to poke my turret out slightly to get some shots. Don't like my positioning too much because if there's a tank destroyer... Now mind you, there is no tank destroyer. Sorry, this is too low for a tier. But sometimes people camp around A4 and they can spot right on across and shoot you from that far away. But all I'm doing is just exposing my turret and getting shots off like that. I really want to kill some of these guys. Just need a few hits here and there. Oh well. Anyway, lol tractor right here. You can see from its very distinguishable silhouette. Nice and easy kill. And I guess now when I'm looking back at it, I guess this is how I must have got the first class because I was doing so much damage to people. And they weren't even retaliating. Ah! I'm getting hit. I'm getting hit from the side. Looks like somebody's come all the way around and now it's time for Krebsy to get a bit of cover. I can see the top of his turret. There we go. Sniping it. Killing his tank entirely. Come on. Yeah, more damage. More damage. If I had my mods, you guys would be able to see my cumulative damage I've done thus far. But no doubt I've paid myself over a number of times. Probably 3 times by now. Uh-oh. We got another tank coming down, but my gun depression isn't good enough. I believe the MS-1 has a better gun depression than the FT. Oh, that just means I gotta back off a little bit. Let the tank come on forward. Here we go. Nice and easy. Look along the mini-map. I think some enemy tanks are gonna be coming up into the middle. Uh-oh. Something is shooting me from the village. I've got hardly any health to spare now. We're leading by 2 kills, but hardly any health to spare. Literally another shot and I'm gone. That means I'm just gonna be 6 feet under pretty soon. Okay, so what can I see? Gonna head along this direction, already anticipating that the enemy will be coming along this way. Oh! Oh! Can I get him? Can I see any little piece of him? I mean, he's a bit high. Can I see him? No! What? He got me! At least that's what my reaction was like when I was playing this game. I was like, what the hell? And that is just what I mean about the top hat. I bet you anything it was that little tiny cupola. Well, kind of big if you ask me in relation to the rest of the tank, but it's a top hat. Aim for that. Now here's the results, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time, I will catch you all later. Right, here we go. 3, 2,